Hello, League fans, and welcome to the 2018 NA Academy League. I'm Clayton Captain Flowers Reigns, back at it again here in Academy with my man, Mark Zimmerman.
Two rowdy dudes ready to bring you the games.
Just going to have a good time here on the desk today, and as many of you know, the summer split of the Academy League saw some changes to the tournament format, with playoffs extending from 4 teams to 6 now. That extension means that we had to squeeze some extra games in throughout the season, which has necessitated a couple double-header Thursdays, the first in Week 3, and now the second just yesterday. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the standings before that doubleheader.
Yeah, you see Cloud9 up at the top, kind of alone in first place. Then between 2nd and 7th, there's a pretty big clumping of teams, only separated by a total of 2 games. And then right after that, it's a pretty big jump again down to 8 through 10, sitting in 2 and 1 wins respectively. So just that big group in the middle.
Right. Now, of course, we did have the doubleheader yesterday, and based on the team's positioning coming out of Week 4, we didn't see many surprises, but there was enough to shake things up just a bit. Clutch Gaming Academy, who's been surging recently, managed a 2-0 day against FlyQuest Academy and 100 Thieves.
And that game against FlyQuest was pretty scrappy. You see here in the top lane, just a crazy fight going on. Piglet ends up burning down, but he had a great game outside this one skirmish. I think that was his only death, as he went something like 7 and 1. Was a huge focal point for the team, carrying, but the team as a whole was breaking out a lot of new picks. They ended up playing that Gragas up in the top lane. They got the Kindred, the jungle, and then they finally get this one team fight in the middle of the river that was a bit of a stomp, going a complete ace for them as they finished that one off.
And in what was ultimately our only upset of the night, 100 Thieves was able to take a win over CLG Academy after a particularly nasty throw around Baron.
Yeah, and finishing out with these clutch ones for now. This was the second game where they played the Kled mid. This was an interesting performance because we haven't seen it on the West too recently. It's only been in the LPL and LCK. It looked pretty good there, as Sun was the one playing that one. And then, yeah, like you said, there was the CLG game. A little bit of a suspect play.
Yeah, sometimes Baron looks like it's the way to end the game, and sometimes it does end the game, just not the way you were hoping for.
Yeah, Levi had a great cast there to separate the team of CLG, who probably shouldn't have been in there anyways. They had about a 3K gold lead at this point, and they do this Baron buff. Not only do a couple of them get killed, hand it over, but they stick around for no reason. They just watch the Baron go down. They give up a couple more kills, which allows 100 Thieves to instantly put this Baron to work and start taking down turrets. And so it ended up being a 3K gold lead for CLG. Flips around to about an 8K gold power play in about a minute. Absolutely disgusting.
Free kills to go along with your stolen Baron is the fries to your burger, Mark. It's completing the value meal there for the team as they manage to come back with that win. And you can see the way the gold graph looks. It's just a monstrous vertical wall right there when you can see it shift over.
You got one of those vertical asymptotes.
Some sort of
back to high school.
Oh, get me out. Get me out. I tried to forget those words as soon as I graduated, but right now we're going to see how the teams are stacked coming into the second half of Week 5. Cloud9 tops the table with only a single loss, while Team Liquid and CLG Academy have separated themselves at 2nd and 3rd. Then we have a 3-way tie for 4th between Clutch Gaming, 100 Thieves, and Optic Gaming Academy, while FlyQuest and TSM Academy are just out of the playoff picture, but still within striking distance. We'll see if anyone is able to leapfrog their way up the standings after today's games. First up, it's a battle at the top between Team Liquid Academy and Cloud9. Then FlyQuest will hope to tie their opponents as they take on 100 Thieves in game number 3. We'll see if Clutch Gaming can keep the streak alive as they take on TSM Academy to close out the week. But enough of the housekeeping for now. Let's go ahead and get into that first matchup of the day with Team Liquid Academy taking on Cloud9. And after last week, we thought the Cloud9 roster might have finally been done with the curveballs, but yet another one has been thrown our way.
Yeah, they said they were done. They lied. Sven Skaren is now joining the Academy roster this week, so there's a strong possibility that means we'll be seeing Blabber in the LCS. Despite the roster swaps, though, Cloud9 is still very much the team to beat in Academy. Swapping around the players every week has not affected their performance really at all, as they are still the top team in the league with only that single loss.
And we'll see how they fare against Team Liquid, who are right behind them in 2nd place and are coming off a strong victory over CLG Academy last week, as well as complementing that with a 2-0 doubleheader yesterday.
Yeah, we didn't get to see the end of that match versus CLG last week on broadcast due to some power problems at CLG, but that was ultimately resumed, and Team Liquid capitalized on their early lead to take the win in that game. And then both Team Liquid and Cloud9 were the top teams last split in Academy, and so far moving to the second half of the round robin here, history history seems to be repeating itself once again.
We'll see who claims victory tonight, but first, let's go ahead and get into the starting lineups. On the blue side, it's Team Liquid Academy with Viper in the top lane, Hard in the jungle, Insanity at mid, Shoryu and Joey bot lane and support, and Coach Tim Kiro.
And over on the red side, it's Cloud9 Academy, Shiro up in the top lane, Svenskeren of all people in the jungle, Golden Glue in the mid lane, Keith in the bot lane, Smoothie at support, and Westerice coaching.
Having these teams at the top of the table sort of start us off today, I think, is a good way to get us going into this second half of the split now. Since we have gotten over that midpoint, we're in the second half, we're coming around the bend, and we're at the point where every game's going to mean that much more because there's that much less time on the clock for these teams to solidify how good they are and how they're going to look heading into the postseason.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too, is compared to the LCS, which after the first day of the week coming up will be in the start of their second round robin, here, because of the doubleheader that happened in week 3 and the one that happened yesterday, they're actually a couple games into the second half of that round robin. So there's a bit of strength of schedule difference between some of these teams. We'll probably touch on that a little bit later on, but for now, the 1 and 2 teams going at each other.
Let's go ahead and see how the draft is shaping up so far. It's Morgana, Zoe, and Alistar banned out by TLA. Cloud9 taking the Nocturne and the Aatrox off the table first and foremost. Both those champions so strong right now.
Yeah, and we'll be definitely talking about those at the start of the LCS and the countdown. If you want to see why you see the Nocturne Aatrox ban. Zoe taken away by TLA means C9 does have a ban here that they can actually throw at TLA, but they've been pretty diverse in what they've picked so far, so they go with Kennen of all things.
Kennen, one of those champions that always just has such a strong presence in the lane. We can see him also transition to either an effective split pusher or a team fighter, depending on what you want to build. So they'll take that one out of the picture. Team Liquid Academy's response is, okay, we're going to first pick the Rakan, prioritizing that support.
Something that we've seen rising in popularity a lot, feels like one of those A-tier picks. You know, you got the S's with the Nocturne and the Aatrox, and then once you get down out of that, it's really risen to popularity for Rakan because it no longer needs Xayah. You can play it with Swain or Vladimir in the bot lane and start getting all in threat at 6 when he has that nasty engage combo.
Yeah, the combo from Rakan, just that sheer potential to make everybody all get caught up in it at once. Like you said, Swains and Vlads and these AoE heavy mages turns it into a nightmare really quickly, but you're talking about somebody that feels like an A-tier pick, somebody that's risen in popularity. Let's talk Kindred.
Yeah.
Which is locked in for Cloud9 Academy. They'll be playing that one in the jungle, and that champion has seen a lot more play recently.
It's been a slow creep up of buff after buff after buff, and now it's finally at the point where people are like, all right, this is a little...
All right, we buffed it 15 times. Let's give it a shot.
Yeah, so the Kindred, it works particularly well into anything that might be funneling. We've talked about this before, about how the Kindred can go and steal marks very easily, as well as dive side lanes, and that is something the funnel does not defend against very well. So that looks like a good start. They also grab the Swain, probably to try and split up the Rakan Swain, and as a result, they're just going to take the Xayah with it, which is a little bit more in Shoryu's wheelhouse. Definitely still more a marksman player in the bot lane.
Well, TLA is going to have to go with what's just written into the lore as the bottom lane instead of getting to shake things up with the Swain. We'll see how the duo manages to perform on that combination. The Gragas also locked in for TLA. This is a champion we're starting to see more and more of now, too, after some buffs.
It's a little surprising because we see it a lot in the jungle, and the W range buff that came in was not very useful for junglers. You thought we would start seeing it more in the lane, but it has showed up in both positions. Starting to see a little bit more. We saw 2 Gragas top games out of Max Trobo yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, so people are starting to use it there a little bit more. But I would not be surprised to see it in the jungle. That's one of Hard's main champions, and we always expect Viper to go for a little something more carry-oriented.
Of course. And we have seen the Fiddlesticks be the last pick of the first rotation of the ban, or the first round, I guess I should say, of the bans here. Cloud9 Academy locks that one in for themselves. And as we move on to the bans, it's going to be Talon and Fiora banned out in this second phase. Talon being one of those champions. As we were seeing more and more funnel in the meta, the discussion sort of shifted over to these mid laners like Talon and Echo and similar champions that can clear mid lane chicken camps and then just play mid lane by themselves. It's the self-fulfilling funnel.
Yeah.
And Talon's one of those champions really strong with it. They'll ban that one away.
Absolutely. And with the Kindred, you don't want to be down mid priority because you do need to go for some invades and jungle skirmishes to get all those bounties that you need to hit that 4th stack. So if you're up against a Talon who's stealing your chickens away and stealing the scuttle crabs away from you, it becomes very hard to hit that number. So no surprise to see those banned out. Fiora ban. Shiro and Viper are both 2 of the more carry-oriented top laners in the league, so you sometimes get to see the fireworks there. Fiora will not be one of them, but the Riven's still up. Could still
Riven's
get that
always a possibility. in a game like this one. But Talia and Galio will not be possibilities this time around. We will see those banned out by these teams as their final bans of the game, as Orianna is locked in for C9A.
It's a little surprised to see the Orianna pick. It's just a generically strong pick that people are starting to go to a little bit more and more. It got the W buff, which is a base cooldown, I believe. So you just get to use that a little bit more in team fights. So she has seen some changes, but doesn't have any clear synergies with C9's comp unless you're able to ult the fiddlesticks and pull people back on top, maybe.
I mean, for the longest time, Orianna was this evergreen mid pick that you just, oh, we don't know what else to pick? Just throw Orianna in there. It'll
Never
work.
bad.
It works with everything. Yep. Exactly. It never feels like a miss. So if she's getting back into that point, we could see more of that. We'll have to see how that all shapes up.
Ooh.
But you're talking about carry-oriented picks. You're talking about the players that'll pick these kinds of champs. Well, fire up the montage maker, baby. We got Yasuo and Riven locked in for Team Liquid.
Yeah, but on the flip side, we have Poppy, the ultimate blocker of montages. You want to go do some
montage denied.
Yeah, you want to go do some crazy stuff? Bam, shield, no dashes allowed. Bam, wall stun, you're not going anywhere. Knocked up in the air. So
put your dubstep away. Stop all your cuts.
We're going to play some nice slow music.
It's elevator music all the way to the next.
Oh, God. But it does work very well with the Orianna as well, that they have some better setup for it. So I like where this comp went for C9. TLA, like you said, they got the dubstep, montage, quick cuts, rumble cam going on in their comp.
And plus, we're going to get to see how FLICKR does here with Cloud9 Academy. Again, this is his first week playing with the Academy team. Had a good game yesterday. We'll see if he can keep that up here today. Going up against Team Liquid, like you already said, Mark, it's #1 versus #2. You have a good showing against these guys, you're going to have a good showing against anybody.
Absolutely, and I like that Sven has gotten a little bit more carry-oriented of a pick in Academy, that he will have the Kindred to go and try and make some plays. That's one thing we typically say, though maybe it doesn't apply here quite as much, but when LCS players play in Academy, we want to see them pop off, kind of. And it might be a little bit more difficult against TLA, who are currently in 2nd place.
All right. It will be the task given to FLICKR and the rest of Cloud9 Academy this game, though. As we can see at the start, everybody's sort of mounting the line of scrimmage. Nobody wants to do anything crazy at level 1. Nobody's trying to set up any cheeky Kindred starts. And that's something you've always got to watch. I actually, as someone who has legitimately never played Kindred, not even on an ARAM.
Damn.
I was, the RNG has never given it to me. I was not super familiar with exactly the intricacies of the champion, but I know Azael and some of the other guys around the office have played plenty of it. And apparently 4 stacks is the magic mark, the magic number that everybody's looking to hit to get that first big power spike. So that's one thing I'll be keeping an eye on as we go through the early game, is how quickly FLICKR can get to that point so he can make sure he's effective on this.
Yeah, you get that range increase on your auto attack, which is absolutely important as we see it. Early aggression onto Smoothie.
Shoryu and Joey taking advantage of that Xayah Rakan level 1. This used to be notorious for being the strongest level 1 around back before we started seeing all these different types of picks in the bottom lane. These two together, you just did not want to mess with.
Yeah, especially if you get base checked and engaged on like that. The difficulty against some of these other lanes is, you know, Rakan will W in and Xayah's not quite in range, and you don't get the crazy auto attack trades off. Fiddle's just fearing you, but hey, if you can get right on top of him like that, chunk him out early on, that's all good.
FLICKR will clear out the Scuttle Crab. Unfortunately, he did not say his prayers to RNGesus today, so it's not the one that the mark spawns on.
Unlucky.
The mark will be spawning on that top part instead. You can see it walking around the river right now, as the Gragas will head up there hard on that one. Should likely be able to secure the crab for himself, no difficulty whatsoever, as Viper just keeps Shiro shoved in early on here. Viper on the Riven, always a guy to keep your eyes on. Always has the potential to be that big playmaker. And he's also playing the Angel Blade Riven, which is the one that looks like it was specifically made for animation canceling, so it'll look that much smoother and cleaner when he does manage to find those big outplays. So gotta make sure we pay attention to him as this game goes on. Shiro will be doing everything he can for his team to try to deny that, like you were talking about. Shut down those montage plays, right?
Oh,
if
yeah.
Riven's got 4 different dashes, why not have an ability that can block any of them?
Exactly, and it's especially interesting when you combo with Linsanity, who in the past been playing a lot more. Well, he's probably gonna die.
has used the wind wall. Here comes FLICKR trying to get himself out, but there is no way out of that one. It's first blood over to Cloud9 Academy, and Smoothie will pocket the cash.
Yeah, I was about to say he's known a lot more for the supportive style that he's been playing in Academy, more global-oriented picks, the Karthus, the TFs, the Gallios, and things like that. On the very aggressive Yasuo pick gets punished early on with a crazy 3-man roam and a lot of summoners down on the side of C9 Academy.
I think we talked about this the last time that I was here for Academy, how a guy with a name like Insanity, you would expect him to be this montage player, to be the give me Yasuo every single game type of player, but that's really just not the way he normally is. Seems very humble, very team-focused, wanting to set everyone else up. On a pick like this, though, he'll be needing to flex those back muscles of his own and need to recover from that first gank, as Team Liquid Academy looking for an early first trade.
Yeah, after the play in the mid lane, C9 has to reset, and they burned a lot of summoners. So with that, TLA feel like there's a window with their small advantage they had in the bot lane to move up to this Infernal Drake. Really good scaling for TLA. They have 2 champions who are going to build a ton of AD. Actually, 3, yeah, and even Gragas will probably go the Runic Echoes build.
Chad Gragas.
Depends what he goes after it, because you are supposed to go Runic Echoes basically no matter what. People don't really go Cinder Hulk. It's what you go after that. Like, do you keep building the AP or do you start going tank?
We all know what I'm cheering.
Yeah,
for.
you're going more AP.
We'll see exactly how hard decides to play it. Right now, Team Liquid Academy did play that early Drake correctly, so they get themselves that bonus objective early on here. That means we could see one of those games, if this goes long, where you have 5 different elemental drakes by the time the Elder shows up. Next one will be Cloud, so it's not going to be multiple early Infernals to force some fights, but Team Liquid Academy, like you said, definitely happy to have those bonus multipliers as Joey tries to go in, immediately gets hit with plenty of damage in return. As FLICKR makes his way towards the bottom lane, you can see some pings coming out from the side of TLA saying, hey, something smells funny here. We got to try to get ourselves away. Never Move comes out, forces the flash away from Shoryu. Hard shows up here now as well, but there's not anything for Team Liquid Academy to go after.
Yeah, nice little low commitment gank by C9 Academy there. Basically get to run at TLA and get a flash for nothing on their side. A little bit of time out of Sven, but luckily the mark is down on the bot side, so he's able to grab, I believe, his first stack of the game. A little late for it.
Yep, a little bit late, but better late than never. At least this time the Crab did spawn in a favorable position, so FLICKR can cash in on that one. You see the little graphic there showing up and allowing him to grab that first stack. 3 more to go before we get that critical range buff from the 4th one. 8.8 to 9.5 thousand gold, so a slight lead for Cloud9 Academy. Still mostly just based off that first play that they made in the mid lane onto Insanity at level 3. Shiro continues to farm up slightly behind Viper here in the top lane. But remember, when you're playing the Poppy compared to something like the Riven, it's always the nature of the game in tank versus carry. Even if you fall behind the carry a little bit, you'll still be useful. You don't have that economy pressure on you.
Yeah, you don't need to be able to build enough damage to one-shot a carry through defense and stuff like that. You can just stack armor, and especially against TLA's team comp, which, you know, looking at it a little bit more now, is all physical damage minus the one jungle Gragas, which isn't going to be that much of a threat. That's perfect for a Poppy to stack armor.
Jungle Gragas is building a Ruby Crystal, by the way, Mark. I don't think that builds into Runic Echoes.
No. No, it does not.
I was promised Runic Echoes, Mark.
Well, one, I think,
and now all I've got is a big old handful of thinking.
I think you should go Runic Echoes most of the time on Gragas, and especially when all of your laners are physical damage, and the enemy team has a tank. We'll see how this goes.
It's going to be real tough going to try to get through that Poppy as the game goes on, especially just knowing that Poppy gets bonus resistances anyway, so all the armor is going to count for that much more. We'll definitely need to see some armor penetration built on the side of Team Liquid Academy as this game goes on. Early on enough, though, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. CC chain coming out onto Joey, who dashes away to Shoryu to keep himself safe. Shoryu responds with a very little amount of damage, but you really got to be careful about the CC chain between the Fiddlesticks and the Swain together. You can see FLICKR has hard marked here, wants to move in, steal that away, does secure the smite onto the big chicken, and that means stack number 2 ready to go for Cloud9.
Yeah, good invade there by Sven on top of the timing of it. Came down to a bit of a smite fight, but he had that one locked down. Both of them were 6, so had equal opportunity.
The smite fights are so important, too, for Kindred compared to any other jungler. I mean, normally you're thinking, okay, yeah, 60 gold one way or the other. Smite fight, I'd like to win this here, but it's not that big of a deal if I don't. Getting those stacks going is just one more reason to be on top of that critical jungle mechanic that can so often decide the outcome of a play and a game. Probably not going to see a game decided off the back of a stolen chicken, but it's going to make it dramatic. A dramatic play happening in the mid lane. On to Golden Glue, tries to go for the shockwave, but it's too little, too late, and Insanity walks away with a revenge kill for early.
Yeah, there's
revenge assist.
Revenge assist. That was a really nice combo there. Very easy to set up with the Gragas ultimate, providing the knockback for Yasuo to get his ult off with, and it's just a little too easy, all things considered, for those two to find kills onto this Orianna.
Let's see if Cloud9 Academy can find some kills here into the bottom lane. Sure, you're going to go ahead, pop the ultimate. Doesn't have the ability to dodge away from that any longer. Now going to be bursted down. Keith grabbing the kill onto that one. Now likely going to be killed himself as Viper makes his way into the fight, looking to cut down the remaining members of Cloud9 Academy, but Lamb's Respite will keep them all going. A beautifully timed fear from Smoothie is going to keep Viper in place as Cloud9 Academy pick up yet another one. Joey, last man standing, trying to provide some cover for this turret as Cloud9 will finally back away.
Yeah, nice dive there. They know where Hard and Insanity were, and Sven was hovering down around that bot side for a pretty good portion of time. And once they see them in the mid lane, they know they're good to go on that dive. Shiro gets involved in the fight early. Was a 2-for-1. I wonder if there's anything Sven could have done a little bit better here if he could have ulted a second sooner to try and save Keith. Doesn't look like it. He's not quite in position, so unfortunate, but he will get it off at the right time to keep everyone alive from the Riven ultimate. And then Fiddlesticks is just such a nuisance for any melee carry to try and get stuff off with. You get the silence into the fear, both point and click, so there's no way to really outplay it, which is usually what Riven kind of relies on in a lot of situations. That mobility to dodge the CC, you don't get that against Fiddlesticks.
I think it's funny because we were talking about Poppy being the montage tonight, right? Like, okay, cut that clip from it. Poppy stopped it, but Fiddlesticks is also one of those big deniers for these carry champions popping off the way that you would expect them to. As bottom side, Joey tries to go in, immediately going to be stopped on that one with that chain CC coming out from Keith and Smoothie. Team Liquid Academy breaking even in the bottom lane here in terms of the farm. Top and mid, jungle even, everywhere's telling the same story in terms of the farm mark. Nobody's really giving the other side very much ground, as Hard will pick up the Raptor camp that time around, will not allow FLICKR the opportunity to try to steal that one away.
Nope, won't get that chance, and I think this is going to be one of those games where there will probably be a back-breaking play in either mid or bot lane. Oh, here we go.
See Insanity going in now, dropping down the wind wall, preventing Sven from getting in there and doing anything. He tries to find some damage on the back end of the fight, but now with Joey making his way in, he finds the charm, he finds the knock-up, they've got the damage afterwards. It's a double kill for Insanity over the wall.
Yeah, that was kind of the play I was looking for, where there's going to be a
the
big
backbreaker.
Yeah, one of them. They're not actually going for the mid lane turret, going for the ocean, or Cloud Drake of all things, surprisingly. I was going to say that there's going to be a skirmish in one of these two lanes that will lead to the first turret dropping to get a gold lead, but instead they're going for the Cloud Drake, want to run really quickly.
Gotta go fast. One of the funnest things to do in League of Legends. They'll pick that one up for themselves. They'll grab the Scuttle Crab on the way out here too. Sure, you picks that one for himself. And let's take another look at the replay.
And this is just the difficulty. They're clearing a pink ward. You want to contest vision. Hard doesn't even need to be that accurate with the ultimate. Just kind of guns it over the wall there, clips Golden Glue. That gives Insanity the free ride over the wall, and then a really nice wind wall to stop FLICKR's damage from potentially trading back. Sven hangs around a little bit too long, waiting for the wind wall to drop. Not communicating well with the rest of C9 Academy to know that the bot lane of TLA was collapsing, and so he also gets picked off there. But once again, no turret drops. The gold lead has swung back in TLA's favor. It's a very seesaw game.
Team Liquid Academy making these plays, setting Insanity up, and you mentioned that setup feels easy when you've got the Gragas that can throw out the explosive cast from such a long way away to enable this Yasuo. And we haven't really touched on it, but when you look at the 4 people assisting Insanity in this game, 3 of them have knockups, which are very reliable to land. The third part of the Riven queue, not really that hard to land when you've got a big old sword and you can just jump into multiple people. The Gragas ultimate we've already seen, the Rakan knockup. There are so many ways to enable Insanity to find that last breath, get in there, and start cutting people down with this pick as FLICKR comes in, steals away yet another mark, and walks himself out.
Yeah, nice play by Sven there, hanging over the wall. Just sniping that one away. Up to 3 now. Just needs to find that last one. been involved in 3 kills. Just unfortunate he couldn't get the bounty down onto any of the people that he was involved in killing. But we'll maybe turn that into a Rift Herald as well. We were talking about a lot of the ways C9's comp can deny TLAs with the armor stacking and the ability to disrupt melee carries. Well, TLA have their own little tricks in the book where the Gragas ultimate is great against Kindred because everyone's sitting in there trying to avoid taking damage. You just ult them all out of it with the cask. So we'll have to see if Hard tries to hold that and deny the Kindred ultimate, or if he's still going to keep using it to initiate, because you get into this cat and mouse game where he's the main initiator maybe. But luckily they have Joey to maybe kick things off later on in the game.
Hard will just grab his red buff for now. Hit that level 10. Look around for the potential to maybe make something happen here in the river. Got the bottom lane roaming up now as well. Sweepers pop by 2 members at the same time to clear out all these wards. Make sure they're not walking themselves into some kind of a trap, of course, with as much vision down as there was with those 2 wards. Their plan will be shut down. Smoothie thinking about maybe going over the wall. Here it comes. Fidelity. There goes Joey. Not able to do much of anything as FLICKR trying to go in onto Hard now as well. Jumping forward, looking to use the flash to go in even further. Shockwave going to bring Hard back so he can't go back over the wall. And Shoryu also falling to Keith off to the side.
And this is why these teams are 1 and 2 in the rankings, back and forth. TLA makes a play in the mid lane. C9 Academy answers right back in the bot side of the map. Smoothie with a great ult over the wall, baiting it with, you see Viper popping his ult for a trade advantage, I guess.
Just get knifey.
Yeah, but there was a great pink ward bait there. That's one of the things you can do with these engaged champions. Smoothie sits over the wall, waits till they start hitting it, then ults over and sets up the play with the rest of C9 Academy to break the first turret of the game down there in the bot lane.
Let's take another look at how it starts. It's this man's ult right here.
Yep, and then he's caught between a rock and a hard place. The fear allows Keith to get the pullback. They've been doing that all laning phase, and now without any peel, Keith is free to just run at Shoryu while Sven chases down onto Hard, pick up the next 2 kills, and with all of them dead, there's no one to move down to that bot lane turret. It's just the solo laners left alive on TLA.
And with that first turret gold in their pockets, Cloud9 Academy now find themselves up almost 2,000 gold. Feels pretty good, especially when you've got that mid laner and top laner both at level 11, so the level 2 ultimates are unlocked. Phantom Dancer also completed for Insanity, so he has that much more dueling potential, as well as doubling up on some of those juicy crit stats that Yasuo likes to build. Top side, it's Joey and Shoryu who've been rotated up here. Smoothie and Keith also making that rotation to answer. Fear into a silence from Smoothie to keep Joey away, if only for a moment. The Team Liquid Academy wants to put on some pressure, wants to return the favor of what they experienced in the bottom lane.
Got to that a little bit earlier, but no minion wave to really make the play with, and Smoothie was cutting it off, but no control up in the top side here. C9 are trying to fight for vision. Got to be careful.
And Scaren's level 11 as well, the same level as the solo laners this game, has been doing quite a good job farming up. We've seen him steal away a couple of camps from his opponent to make sure he gets those marks there for the Kindred as well. Having a solid performance here so far as Shiro will continue just shoving up this bottom wave against Viper. Sunfire Cape plus Ninja Tabby. This is what we were talking about,
yeah.
Mark. This is where you can't stoppy the poppy because there's too much armor. And it's really hard to get through that when you've got a full AD team, excuse me.
It's going to get worse from here. Probably going to go the Iceborne Gauntlets, maybe grab a Thorn Mail. Why not? It keeps stacking.
Oh, it's going to be bad, bad times for the all-AD comp on Team Liquid Academy until some of that armor penetration comes through. Joey decides to pull the trigger, going in here pretty big after Keith, who popped the ultimate, looking to keep himself safe, but it's not going to be safe for very long. Hard secures the kill with the help of his bottom lane, but mid lane, it's FLICKR and Shiro and Golden Glue putting the pressure down onto Insanity, who drops the wind wall, trying to buy some time, but it will not buy enough as Rift Herald makes sure that turret goes down and Cloud9 Academy gets even more objective gold.
I think Keith got caught off in a transition there trying to join up with the push that was going on in the mid lane. He gets picked off. They had the healing reduction from the Ignite to make sure that his ultimate did not sustain him through that 1v3 at all. He gets taken down pretty easily, and with all the people committed up to the top side, that Rift Herald's able to grab the mid lane turret. These guys still going blow for blow, 1K gold difference.
And I like what we're seeing from Team Liquid Academy here. They realize they've got the push towards top side. They know they're not going to really get any meaningful damage down onto the tier 2, so they're rotating everybody down through the jungle, clearing out some wards. Here's Joey again, going aggro.
Yeah, maybe not trying to go to the rotation, just when he was fighting over some wards, just a little bit too aggressive on the side of Keith there. No reason to do that while the rest of your team is making that play. In the mid lane, unfortunate he goes down, but still a relatively strong Swain at 2-2-1 with under 60 farm.
He's got the farm, he's got a couple kills, he's got the Rod of Ages stacking as well, so once that hits 10 stacks, it's a ridiculously cost-effective item. And although his stopwatch has been broken, the fact that he's got that sitting in the inventory as well as the other 2 pieces of the Hourglass means he will soon be at the point where he does have the stasis at command to use. And I want to point out 3 different armbands on the side of Cloud9 Academy. This is not just Armor Stack Poppy, ha 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 ha, you can't kill me. This is everyone except for the Kindred building armor, and by the way, Kindred's building ninja tabs.
Oh, God. Oh, Joey didn't get over the wall. Tried to go for an RW and just came up a little short.
You hate to see it happen. Joey tries to initiate that one, and with the failure, that means Hard's going to be collapsed on, and Golden Glue makes sure he gets the kill for himself. Cloud9 Academy pick themselves up 1 as Shiro continues, making sure someone has to answer.
Go back to your arm guard point as well. A lot of the C9 people not just happy with the armor part of it, but as well as how the stasis interacts with their kits. Obviously, you get the ult off with Smoothie or Keith, get those big AoE damage numbers down, and then you get to go invulnerable in the middle of the enemy team. And it doesn't even feel bad to rush because the armor portion is so effective against TLA side. Sometimes you see Zhonya's coming in 3rd or after you get your other damage items down, but here it's totally fine to rush.
You can use it offensively, you can use it defensively if either the Yasuo or the Riven finds themselves in a spot to dive you. Either way, great utility option to have available as the bottom lane turret will be taken down. Golden Glue has FLICKR and Smoothie hanging out next to him though, and it looks like they're going to go ahead and go right on in with this one. Joey again going to be the target, taken down by FLICKR. Hard could be next if they decide to continue to pursue this. Keith wanting to walk back out away from the turret, takes quite a lot of damage just from that aggro. Nice Fiddlestick Spear, that's that targeted CC we were talking about, point and click. Get right rid of him, that's going to be another kill. Going over to Cloud9 Academy, it's 2 for 0 for these guys. The execution is there.
Really nice play by C9 Academy there, baiting them to come to the left side of the wall where Smoothie hops it with his ultimate yet again. Second great Fiddle ultimate of this game, and while Hard is still alive, he's sitting at half HP. There's 2 members dead, they're just respawning now. They might be able to turn this right into a Baron buff. It's going to be hard for CLA to walk up and hard for them to contest the smite because you have Smoothie who can just fear Hard away from it.
You said hard a lot.
Hard.
Mark, but it looks like the Baron will stay leashed for now as Joey decides to go in, looking to make the flash initiation play on the lines of Cloud9, but instead he only gives away a free kill. Now more damage going to be poured through. It's 2 dead on the side of Cloud9 Academy, about to be 3. Smoothie can't quite be brought down just yet. FLICKR trying to get himself away, down below about 25 HP. Smoothie still trying to hobble out. Insanity walking towards that enemy jungler, does get the last breath, throws him up into the air, shuts him down, cuts him down, and Team Liquid Academy will move themselves over towards the Baron. There are 3 things that are certain in life, Mark Zimmerman: death, taxes, and throws at Baron. Teams so often get themselves into bad decisions around this objective and end up giving away massive gold swings.
Yeah, I thought they were going to be able to burn it down in time. Was not the case, and they made the right decision to try and back off, but Joey threw his life away. Oh, this is the other replay first. All right, so first off, Smoothie's going to get a great hop on the wall here. Fear onto Joey, make sure he's not going to get any counter engages off. Use full retreat mode and get popped. It looks like they're going to go a little bit too far chasing here as the Gragas ultimate disengages any other potential chase. But then a little bit of that Yasuo syndrome, you're dashing forward, and then you get the fear into the yoink back again, which baits everyone forward a little bit more, then they're on the ball. Watch this counter engage by Shiro. It's the only reason this doesn't go horribly wrong. His W stops everyone from getting through and falling up on Joey there, but it still baited them far enough in that Viper is able to start playing cleanup duty. The W's on cooldown on Poppy, no one's to stop him from running wild. And this could have been a clean ace if it was a little bit better on the side of TLA, not able to do it, but they're still good enough to find the kill onto FLICKR and the enemy jungler so they can turn on the Baron right after this. And TLA is back in the driver's seat as once again it's back and forth.
It could have been better, but it was still damn good news for a team that looked like they were losing their grip on this game rather rapidly. now in control. What is the call? It seems to be mid lane tier 1. Team Liquid Academy just looking at that as some freestanding money to collect. They'll do just that, picking that one up. No contest. Cloud9 not really in a spot to look to try to force any sort of conflict over such an unimportant objective this far into the game. As Shiro sets up shop underneath the tier 2 in the bottom lane. There are a lot of minions about to crash into this one.
And they have some decent wave clear available with the Ori and Swain, but not quite on strong enough items to chew through the kind of defenses that the Baron buff minions are getting. Both of them only on 2 items, essentially. The turrets are starting to get whittled down. TLA hoping to grab a lot of these inners to secure a gold lead because there's no way that this game is over yet.
No, absolutely not.
There's going to be a couple more big fights, and so you just want to get as much gold as you can in your pocket before this Baron buff wears off. They get the bottom one, the mid lane. It looks like it's about to drop soon after.
Team Liquid Academy just wanting to make the most of this, continuing the pressure on the bottom side, allowing Viper to do his Riven thing in the mid lane. Level 15 on this champion. Death's Dance plus Black Cleaver means he's not too worried even about the armor stacking of Shiro. He'll heal it back up, whatever base damage he takes. As 2 tier 2 turrets have now fallen, Team Liquid Academy has 1 objective left to take outside of the enemy base. It is the top lane tier 2. You'll see Viper head up there as the rest of TLA heads back down towards that Drake pit to grab themselves Elemental Drake number 3 for their team. That is Cloud number 2 overall. And we'll see 1 more Elemental Drake spawn before the Elder rears his head.
Good Baron usage thus far for TLA, grabbing more Drakes in their favor. Does feel like this will potentially be an Infernal Drake game, so even though those clouds are not the best for this scrappy game that we've been getting, it will still hopefully convert to an advantage later in the game if we get there.
QSS also purchased now for Viper. Important to point that out as it could be pretty big in stopping the fear from the Fiddlesticks, a stun from the Poppy, some sort of anything from the Swain trying to lock you down, pull you back into the team, but those 3 Zhonya's hourglasses are also something that I'm always just, it makes me cringe a little bit seeing that many of them. There's so much outplay potential that you've got to be concerned about that if you're Team Liquid Academy. One wrong step, putting yourself in a spot where Smoothie can come over the wall like we've seen him do a couple times already this game, can be a very quickly lost team fight. Level 14 on Insanity's Yasuo has gone for the Sterix Gauge second, as opposed to an Infinity Edge, so still not having that 100% crit. Does have a stopwatch of his own, so next time he finds himself in the middle of multiple people, he can at least buy a little time.
Yeah, and I like the idea to go a little bit defensive just because these do not feel like fights that will be over in an instant. Like you said, with the triple Zhonyas, with the Kindred, with the Poppy being a tank, you need to be able to survive in team fights and all this kind of residual damage for a second. But maybe I'm wrong.
Speaking of survival, Joey's having a bit of a hard time with that one this game. That's death number 4 for the Team Liquid Academy support, who has found himself picked off by Cloud9 yet again. 25 seconds left on that death timer means Cloud9 now has a little bit of breathing room to move forward, set down some vision, and look to prime the map to make something bigger happen.
Yeah, and the vision's a good point because TLA have done a great job when they have their advantages of pushing that vision in. You see on the side of C9's jungle, there's still about 4 wards in there on TLA's side. Unfortunate that Joey got picked off. C9 are trying to convert this quickly into a turret to make up for some of that gold deficit that they have, but they also need to make sure they don't fall behind the vision game while doing that.
Scarin will pop his sweeper in the enemy jungle, trying to make sure he limits what sort of information his opponents have as Cloud9 tries to leave, but now he's putting some damage into Viper. Does find quite a lot there as Shiro comes in from the side, looking to find the CC onto his opponent. Shiro finds the knockup only onto Joey. They've still got Viper alive. Scarin going to be jumped on now as Team Liquid Academy has to pull back. They've lost their mid laner, and the top laner cannot participate in the fight any longer. Call that one a win for C9A.
Yeah, able to find another kill there on Viper's hands. That Insanity dies, got caught up trying to transition down to that bot lane. That ward caught him out, Sven engaged onto him. He wasn't able to get over the wall, forced out of the fight, and Insanity was kind of pulled in. C9 get yet another man advantage to push with.
Cloud9 push machine just keeps on chugging along towards the enemy inhibitors themselves, as inhibitor turret number 1 will drop below half HP. MVP Joey again. Caught out, denied the dash away by the steadfast presence. Good timing there from Shiro. And getting rid of that enemy support, getting rid of that engage potential means it's free inhib for Cloud9.
Really, really well done by them. Gonna back out here, not bite off more than they can chew like they did that Baron just a couple minutes ago. And this is really important because I think anytime that you have the better, quote-unquote, team comp, Viper trying to bait some people.
Give him the dance.
Sees the ball there. Once the ball backs out, he knows the recalls are coming through. But anytime that you have the better team comp, it's fine to not force things too hard. And here we just see Viper kind of disrespecting where the enemy could be, gets caught off in the transition here. Shiro wraps around, can't run that way, has to try and cut back to his team, which baits this whole fight. Joey and everyone does a good job kind of getting them here, but then Insanity takes the ult by Hard, who is trying to disengage with it. After that, still gets dropped. Just a big mistake by Insanity there, actually trying to take that ultimate. And that cost them their bot inhib, which is a big problem with Baron buff back alive.
Baron alive. Cloud9 wants to make this one a little cleaner than the last attempt. Giving that away could be a disaster, but speaking of disasters, Joey, again, even though he's not dying, he's consistently being caught in spots that he should not be in, even during the laning phase. I feel like every time the camera panned down to bottom lane, we were seeing Joey get feared into a Swain pull, into a never move, into some damage. Watching that positioning, watching how far forward he is going to be so critical if Team Liquid Academy wants a chance to win this game. C9A, they're actually still down in gold right now, but you wouldn't think that based on the positioning of everyone around the map, based on how both teams are playing.
It would be the kind of thing where I'd say C9 have the better comp and have now grabbed the bottom inhibitor, so that they should be able to kind of press forward. They have the better front line available with Shiro. Even Keith is maybe you could say the second tankiest member in the game. The Gragas, while he does have more defensive items, I would take a Swain with his Zanyas and his ult on as a front line over that Gragas for sure.
That's pretty beefy.
Yeah, it's a beefy Swain. So it's the kind of thing where they can now walk forward, threaten space. They have good combos to chunk people out, like you were saying on the Joey, and it becomes very hard for TLA to contest vision. Look, you just have to back off this pink ward that he was sitting on top of because Shiro ran at him.
Well, one way Team Liquid Academy might be able to try to contest some vision or objectives or anything really against Cloud9 Academy is look at those inventories. That is the most I hate fiddlesticks itemization for these later game fights that I can imagine. QSS on everyone except for Hard, who is just going that pure tank Gragas. Team Liquid Academy will continue to push up the mid lane now. C9A wanting to potentially set a trap here. There's your one guy that doesn't have the QSS who's going to be jumped on, tries to get himself away, throws the cast right back into the fight. Already going to be taken down though. Sure, you having to kite backwards, get himself out of this one. It's Viper into the back lines, looking to find the damage onto the carries, looking to take them down. They will be able to find one on to Smoothie as the resurrection comes through. Guardian Angel will work its magic. Insanity going to be taken low. Wind Wall's already been used. Doesn't quite find the knockup he's looking for. And Team Liquid Academy is done for. C9A tries to run him down. Flash over the wall spin. Scarin looking to put those last couple arrows into Insanity. Gets hasted up by his mid laner. Dashing forward with the dance of arrows. And Insanity is out of there. An ace for C9A.
And that was a super close fight that hinged on a couple things. Keith almost went down there really early on, did not get his Zonias off, and that made it so that TLA could actually chase forward and potentially get the cleanup kills. But you just see how strong the Poppy was in that fight. As soon as the GA came up, that's when Viper, with all his cooldowns back up, wants to pop off the hardest, and he instantly just got wall stunned again. It's going to give C9 Academy their first Baron of the game.
Cloud9 Academy has no way to lose this one. Only two opponents alive. They're both stuck back just at the edge of their own base. And with a team fight win plus a Baron, they are feeling good. Let's take another look at how it happened with this initiation.
You talk about how Hard did not have any way to get the CC off himself. He gets popped instantly. They try and chase down Shoryu. Doesn't quite work, and Keith is getting chain CC in the front line. He flashes in to try and finish off Shoryu and comes up just short. Doesn't pop his Zonias. On the other side of the fight, you have Viper diving really hard with Insanity, but as soon as he comes out of the Resurrection, just stunned up 2 more times in a row, so he can't actually get onto any member but Shiro, who has all that armor stacked up. And that's really what allows TLA to win that fight, because things had not been going well, or excuse me, for C9 Academy to win that fight, because things had not gone well for Keith, who was trying to dive TLA's backline.
Now, Cloud9 Academy already has one of the enemy inhibitors down. They've got one inhibitor turret they can pressure. They've still got one tier 2 standing in the top lane as well. So you can see Keith marching an army of minions towards to collect that one and continue putting the nails in the coffin of TLA, who are still only a couple thousand gold down, but you've got to contest these empowered minions. You've got to deal with this enemy team that has now claimed 2 huge victories in that fight, and that Baron Guardian Angel also available for FLICKR, and one of the members who didn't have that Zhonya's Hourglass anti-death prevention now has a different method of such. And Poppy's just Poppy. That's enough anti-death of its own, quite frankly. In the front line they go once again. Hard to target the man who doesn't have the CC blocking potential, the breaking potential, I should say. The one that they end up going after. They know that even though he's the tank, they've got the damage to shred him, and now they're going to keep on pushing into the tier 3 turret itself. That one is gone, as the inhibitor will likely be the next target unless TLA can pull off something pretty amazing. Insanity wants to go in, looking to make this happen. Joey has to get himself away, tries to go for the initiation, but it's a little bit scrambled. Hard's caught in the middle of multiple C9A members, and Shoryu tries to get out, runs right back into the Lamb's Respite to buy a couple more seconds, but it's a double kill for FLICKR, who then takes down the inhibitor as well, and Cloud9 Academy have found themselves 2 for 0.
And Shiro has TP still available, so he's going to be able to go back to base, heal up very quickly with the Baron buff, and then TP back in on this minion as the rest of the team tries to siege down this turret. It's 5v3. They should be able to end the game here.
Cloud9 Academy goes for that final push. They'll take down Joey yet again. They'll push onto the Nexus turrets themselves, and Team Liquid Academy put up a valiant fight. They managed to look like they were holding on for quite a while in the mid-game, but Cloud9 Academy shows why they are the #1 squad.
One of my favorite games I've seen thus far this year in Academy. It was a back-and-forth game. Both teams were fighting tooth and nail in the early game before C9's better comp and better decision-making in the late game allowed them to come back and start winning all those fights at the very end. But very impressive game out of multiple members on C9's side.
Yeah, they had the one flub around the Baron pit in the mid-game. That was the one that you had to look at and say, when you go back and watch this VOD, this is the point that really could have been a turning point for us in a bad kind of way, but they recovered from it very well. They didn't let it affect them seemingly in any big measurable way. They got right back on their game. They immediately regained control, and then they just found victory after victory.
Yeah, and that's one of those things you have to be careful of. Like I was saying, if you have the better scaling team comp, you don't need to go for the 23-minute Baron. That's a little risky. I was down with the call at first, but clearly both C9 and myself were wrong on that one.
Well, they did show some good early game coordination this time around for Cloud9. Here we have a 2-for-1 bottom turret dive early on.
Yeah, and this is kind of what kicked the game off with all the crazy early game action that we saw. There's a play in the mid lane right before this that resulted in Orianna's death that allowed C9 Academy to go in knowing it would be a 4v3 worst case scenario, and they have a lot of tools to outplay this. So they have the Kindred ultimate there to keep people alive. They have the Poppy to block the Viper. They have the Fiddlesticks CC to stop Viper from being able to go in as well. And so all that denial comes through to make sure that turret dive works out for them.
Timing the Fiddlestick Sphere so well with when the Lamb's Respite popped was really critical there for Smoothie too. But TLA did keep things close, like we already talked about the Baron fight. Let's go ahead and take another look at that one. They got the 3-for-0 and the objective afterwards.
And Joey has the right idea to go in, but Shiro does a great job zoning the initial follow-up. But even though he stopped that engage, Viper still has enough cooldowns to go back in. He starts getting everything off in this fight, kills multiple members and forces everyone low. Multiple people below 25% HP. They eventually found Sven kind of hiding over the wall there, which allowed them to grab that Baron and gave them a big gold advantage that kind of kept the game close, but it was only a matter of time as things kept going more and more in C9's favor with the fact that they have an armor stacking tank and a lot of denial for melee carries.
I said 3-for-0. I meant 3-for-1. You did see Joey also die at the beginning of that fight. He made the initiation that, as you discussed during the game, was the distraction that kind of baited Cloud9 into staying around long enough for Team Liquid Academy to find the win that they did there. But it was Cloud9 pulling ahead with an ace in the mid lane 31 minutes into the game that really just cemented everything this team needed.
Yeah, and like you said, this is just hard to frontline against when there's so much point-and-click CC. Any CC lands, you pull him back. He starts getting baited into this fight. And C9 did not play it super clean. You see Keith getting blown up here as he tries to go 1v2 on the backline. On the other side of the fight, TLA was actually diving relatively well on the backline, but once the Poppy gets their next set of cooldowns up. It's just so hard for the Riven to make anything happen. They chase down onto the rest of the kills. They get that ace, and they're able to grab the Baron, which is, you know, with a better scaling team comp, basically the end of the game.
Right. What are they going to do when you have, as we said, 3 Zhonya's Hourglass, plus 1 GA, plus 1 Poppy? Nobody on that team is susceptible to death. Pretty hard to win a fight when you can't kill the other guys.
Yeah, and it was definitely an early game focus for TLA, but C9 did a great job trading back and forth over that early game, and if you see that gold graph, you can see just how crazy it was. And what I really like about this game is a lot of the time you see crazy gold graphs, it's like, well, that was dumb, that play was dumb, that play was dumb, but these were all well-coordinated plays. These were intelligent moves that people were going back and forth on. So someone forces a fight in the mid lane, we know they're not in the bot lane, so let's force our own fight. And that's how a lot of these worked, baiting over pink ward battles, catching people in rotations, dropping Rift Heralds. I thought this was a very good game that was bloody, whereas sometimes you see the other kind.
And that's what I want to see. When I see number 1 versus number 2, put the big red noses and the tiny little cars away. Fiestas for another day. Let me see a demonstration of how these players are improving, of why these teams are at the top of the standings, and why they deserve to be in the spot that they're at. And honestly, both teams played well enough that I can walk away from this one saying, okay, that was number 1 versus number 2. Both sides had their big moments.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see why some of these players are battling for LCS spots.
Right.
Smoothie had phenomenal Fiddlesticks ults to engage a lot of fights, had good fears when he was trying to counter-engage them. Very clear that he is one of the best supports in NA, just happens to be down playing in Academy right now. And Sven, much the same way, had a lot of good pathing, those dives that he got off, engaging a lot of fights, counter-jungling very well, because he did not have an easy time finding his bounties in this game, but he was still able to grab a couple from under Hard's nose.
He got them early, he managed to get the steals, and I talked at the very beginning about how, yeah, he had a good game yesterday. This is his first weekend playing in Academy. Let's see how he does today, if he can round it out with just a great opening of all those games. And sure enough, he's got the game that they needed him to have. And that's what you want to see. When you take a player who has been playing on LCS and you say, all right, you're playing an Academy this time around, I want to see him pop off.
Yeah, you want to see him make good plays, and he definitely had those. TLA on the same token. What's crazy with them for me is, like, I recognize all the players are good, and they are always at the top of the standings. Mickey's gone, so you can't just say, oh, it was the Mickey show. It's Insanity now stepping up. But it's hard to be like, this is the guy who you want to recruit, and he's the one who's, like, helping TLA find all these wins and be competitive in this game. They feel like a very cohesive unit, and it's hard to be like, wow, he really popped off, whereas on the C9 side, great engages by Smoothie or whatever it is. So it's crazy because I'm trying to identify exactly what it is about TLA that makes them so good, and it seems to be teamwork of all things.
The teamwork did definitely make that mid-game dream work around the Baron pit, but at the same time, it was some of the coordination, it was some of TLA's attempts that just weren't quite enough on the same page that I think cost them some of the fights this game. Specifically, sometimes when we would see Joey go in, we wouldn't see everyone else be on the same page and be able to follow up with that initiation. We would see him be a bit too far forward and get caught out. And I think just those small edges that Cloud9 found over Team Liquid in terms of execution really helped showcase why they deserve the win.
Definitely, and I think you can also look to a slightly easier barrier of execution for the side of the C9 Academy comp. When Joey goes in, he's getting feared, he's going to get chain CC'd, and he hopes that his team can dive with him. It was very hard for them to pull off. They did it for 20-plus minutes in the game before the wheels kind of came off. So, you know, that's one of those times where I'm like, well, it would have been really hard to win this game if you were the better team anyways, and I think C9 actually were the better team on the day as well.
Well, we've talked about it between the two of us for a little bit now, but to hear more about the victory, I'd like to welcome Golden Glue to the broadcast via Skype.
Hello, hey guys.
Hey, what's going on, Golden Glue? How you feeling after that one? It was a pretty exciting match between you guys and Team Liquid.
You know, I feel pretty good. That was a pretty tough match. They definitely put up a fight, and we didn't run them over. It was a really close game. It just came down to a couple team fights, and it always feels good to win those close matches.
So talk about your mentality a little bit in this game, because they picked on you a little bit with the Gragas plus Yasuo ultimates, able to kind of lock you down. But then you guys felt like you had the scaling advantage. So were you worried? Were you able to keep your mentality in check, or were you like, I keep getting killed, someone help me?
Yeah, after I died the first time and burned my summoners, I was like internally thinking like, oh man, my lane's giga doomed right now. Like it's over. But my team's doing pretty well, and also like I had a pretty good early game lead. We were able to get first blood on my lane. So even though I got a little behind in the about like level 7 mark, I had enough of an advantage from before that I could kind of just sit back, sack a couple creeps, and still stay even. And my team was doing well as well, so I didn't have to worry too much.
So speaking about worries and speaking about the mental state of how the team's doing, the one big moment in the game where it looked like it could have been a serious concern was the Baron. Talk to me about the communication on the team, about what happened after everyone got caught at the Baron, after the objective goes over to Team Liquid. How did you guys keep yourself in a spot where you were able to so easily recover from that?
Well, we screwed up pretty big with that Baron. We should not have done that. We already had the game, pretty solid. We kind of rushed it by doing that Baron. But after we lost that, we still basically were communicating like we're really strong. We can still team fight. They have to build. They've spent so much gold on QSSs that they're actually, even though they're getting leads and taking turrets, they actually aren't really up in items. So we kind of just kept calm, waited for picks, and we talked about how dangerous it was for us to like get initiated on by Gragas Yasuo. So we played safe and waited for them to mess up. We got a pick, and then we took over the game from there.
So we've also, focusing more on big picture now, heard a lot about how many changes you guys have made. This time it's Svenskaren's first time playing in Academy, but for most of you guys, you've been shifting all over the place. So what is it about your team that allows you to stay at the top of Academy despite the constant shifting that's going on within the team?
Honestly, I think we just have the strongest 10-man roster of any organization. So we kind of freely can shift players in and out of Academy and still perform well because just our skill level is pretty good relative to the other Academy teams. So I feel like we can kind of put in whatever roster and we'll still win.
You guys have definitely been winning a lot so far. It's been a lot of fun to see, and we are in the backstretch of the split now with that big doubleheader being done yesterday. Are Cloud9 Academy going to drop any more games? Or are you guys just going to make the sprint all the way to the finish line in this kind of form? What's the secret? How are you guys doing it?
Last season, I said that, I think I said in an early interview in the season, oh yeah, we're not going to drop any games. We're going to not lose anything. I think we still tied for first place at the end of the regular season, but we definitely dropped a couple games. So I'm not going to say we're not going to lose any. With how many times we're switching up players, there's definitely a good chance we lose 1, maybe 2 more games in the rest of the split, but I'm not too worried about the competition. I'm more looking forward to the playoffs and making sure we don't lose out in the quarterfinals or semifinals like we did last split.
Well, it ought to be a lot of fun to see you and the rest of the team continue to make these kinds of plays and have these performances. Best of luck in the future. Looking forward to seeing more of the games, and thank you once again for joining us.
All right, thank you for having me.
We are going to step away now, but Game 2 is coming right up after the break with Golden Guardians taking on CLG Academy. Don't you touch that browser. We're going to be right back. Here comes Svenskaren trying to get himself out, but there is no way out of that when it's first blood over to Cloud9 Academy, and Smoothie, the Lamb's Respite, will keep them all going. A beautifully timed fear from Smoothie is going to keep Viper in place. Going over the wall. Here it comes. Fiddle ulti. There goes Joey, not able to do much of anything. Oh, Cloud9, but instead he only gives away a free kill. Now more damage going to be poured through. It's 2 dead on the side of Cloud9 Academy. About to be 3. Guardian Angel will work its magic. Insanity going to be taken low. Wind Wall's already been used. Doesn't quite find the knockup he's looking for. And Team Liquid Academy is done for.